So we're going to talk about the Great Barrier Reef um, today. So this is just a picture of the Great Barrier Reef. As you can see, there's some really cool coral and sea star. Look how clear the water is. So the Great Barrier Reef is the world's largest coral reef. It's located off the coast of Queensland, Australia, and it's one of the 7 natural wonders of the world. Now it's located in on the continental shelf in the sunlight zone, and that's very important to note that it's in the sunlight zone. Um, the Great Barrier Reef is located in the Coral Sea. The reef is a group of over 2,900 smaller reefs and 900 small islands. The reefs usually surround the islands. It's 133,000 square miles, and it's the world's biggest structure made by living organisms. That's important to remember too. The reef is made up of living organisms. The Great Barrier Reef has been part of human settlements dating back to Aboriginal Australians 40,000 years ago. First Europeans to reach and describe the reef were part of Louis de Bourgonville, I don't know, ex- expedition in 1768. In 1770, Captain James Cook ran a shipwreck along the reef. Um, there was minimal research done on the reef until the early 1900s due to the difficulty to navigate along the reef because they didn't realize how shallow it can be in that area. So it's the home of many animals, including um, a lot of endangered species because the coral reef in itself is an endangered species. There's 30 species of whales, dolphins, and porpoises, including the Pacific humpback dolphin and the dwarf minke whale. There's a large population of dugongs that live in the coral reef. Now, obviously, this is not a real picture of a clownfish. That's Nemo and his dad Marlin. There are over 1,500 species of fish that live in the coral reef. These fish include clownfish, red bass, angelfish, butterfly fish, and parrotfish. There's over 160 species of shark that live on this reef. Some of these sharks are the hammerhead, tiger shark, and the white-tipped reef shark. That is good eating on the reef. There are 6 species of turtles that live on the reef. These turtles include the green sea turtle, leatherback sea turtle, hawksbill turtle, loggerhead sea turtle, flatback sea turtle, and the olive ridley. The, the green sea turtle has 2 different sets of populations on the reef, with one population on the north side of the reef and the other on the south. There are 7 species of frog that live on the islands off the coast of the reef. So that's pretty cool. Saltwater frogs, the flatback turtle, and a corogoroi frog. See how brightly colored this frog is? It's part of its adaptation to blend into the coral reef. There are 15 species of seagrass within the reef that provide food and habitat for the dugong, sea turtles, and fish. There are also many mangrove and salt marshes on the coast of the reef. There are over 5,000 species of mollusk in the Great Barrier Reef. Some of the species of mollusk include the giant clam, cone shells, and nudibranchs. This is a sea bunny, which is a type of a nudibranch. It looks like a bunny. It really does. There's its little ears, and it's floofy, and its little tail. There are 7 types of seahorses located on the reef, including the pygmy seahorses. Seahorses are so cool. We're going to talk more about seahorses tomorrow. There's over 360 species of hard coral, 600 species of echin, echinoder. This Laura's having problems speaking today. Echinoderms, I don't know, and 1,500 species of sponges that are part of the coral reef. Some of the species of coral include the bottlebrush coral, bubble coral, brain coral, and mushroom coral. Um, some of the other ones are sea urchins, sea cucumbers, and sea stars. Some of the sponges include the yellow burrowing sponge and the tubular sponge. Now, remember, the coral reef is actually itself a living being. So, all of these corals and sponges create the reef. So, there's 215 species of birds that visit or nest along the islands of the reef because, again, good eating. These birds include the white-bellied sea eagle and the roseate tern. There are over 1.5 million birds that rest and breed on the northern and southern islands each year. So there's a lot of environmental threats um, to the coral reef because, again, it is a living being, and with all the different animals that live there, there are a lot of things that can kill them and make them very sick. So climate change is one of the big ones, as well as pollution, overfishing, oil spills, and cyclones. Some of the natural threats include um, invasive species like the crown of the thorn starfish and skeletal eroding band disease, which basically bleaches out the coral and kills them. And since 1985, over half the Great Barrier Reef has been lost because of these threats. So the crown of thorns starfish is a threat because she eats the coral. The starfish has been responsible for most of the coral losses over the past decade. In the year 2000, there was a large outbreak which caused extensive damage to over 50% of the reef. The outbreaks occur naturally but are worsened when there's bad water quality and overfishing because the things that eat this aren't there to eat this. So this guy right here, although it's pretty, it's killing it. The Great Barrier Reef is a very popular tourist attraction because of the clear water and diversity of life. Scuba diving is restricted to the Whitsundays area, which makes up about 7% of the reef. There are 27 islands that have resorts, including the popular Lady Elliot Island. Along with scuba diving, there are also many boat tours and snorkeling options available. There are over 2 million people who visit the reef each year. It creates over $6 billion in revenue and employs 60,000 people. So the reef and the surrounding Great Barrier Reef Marine Park is managed by the Government of Queensland, Australia. In 1999, the Australian Parliament passed environmental protections that help conserve the reef. Protections also help to track wildlife, um, the decline of the reef, and promote conservation of the reef. Oil drilling has been banned across the entire reef since 1975. If you see here in this picture, they're trying to create kind of an artificial reef, start an artificial reef. So they sink, um, contraptions into the water and then put little starter corals on them so that they can try to build the reef back up. So that is our introduction to the Great Barrier